Greetings and welcome to the Mount Rushmore podcast. My name is Jeff, and I'm joined, as always, by my good buddies Richard.
Hello.
And Michael.
Howdy.
Richard and Michael are...
Did you say Richard?
Richard?
Or Richard.
I think I said Bruddies, too. I've got like Dr. Steve Brule going on. The Mount Rushmore podcast. Here we are. This topic is exciting because Richard and Michael...
Howdy.
are going
What's
to...
just happened here?
We're caught in a loop. Are going to discuss the Mount Rushmore of singers singing about other singers in their songs.
Yeah.
Well, what provoked this, Michael Winfield?
I have a particular song that did make my list that rock and roll at some point, you know, it's a tail, it's a snake that's trying to eat its own tail. At some point, the history of music comes back to be the thing of why you're singing.
Yeah.
Like at some point, it seems with some artists, it's not just about singing songs about happiness or sadness or love, but eventually some artists sing about their influences, their aspirations, or just what have you. I think that this is just a topic that there's so many different aspects to when someone is singing about another artist. Maybe they're singing about a current artist. Maybe they're singing about someone from their past or a past memory or a particular song. Mm-hmm. But I just love that this is such a wide open area of like where we can cover. I'm not going to guarantee that we don't have the same picks, but it seems doubtful that we would have the same choices. And it seems like the world at large could pick from 1,000 other songs that I just think it's so wide open, and I think it speaks to it speaks to the artist that's actually singing, but also the artist that they're singing about a little bit.
The genre of music and the form of rock being in really its infancy compared to other forms, I think lends itself to this because artists in this genre often cut their teeth doing covers of other songs. So Picasso didn't do necessarily a cover of a painting by Rembrandt or somebody, but they might have learned from them. But the Beatles did Chuck Berry songs, and so it almost seems like mentioning that artist is almost the next logical step. So
yeah, and sometimes it's probably like it could be like a stepping point to whatever they're doing next, or maybe it's at the end of their career where they're looking back and I don't know.
Do we include the British trend? And I think this isn't an example necessarily. Candle in the Wind's not necessarily an example of that, but there are a lot of tribute songs, I think, in Europe. So that is it's almost an entire kind of subgenre into itself. I guess some of those come up.
I guess I wouldn't. Sure, why not? Yeah.
Okay.
Tribute song. Like
cool.
Candle in the Wind, you said, but that's not about...
Well,
I guess it is about...
Johnny Halliday would do some songs that were about other artists. Like
the French Elvis?
The French Elvis. The French Elvis. He was also the French Bob Dylan. He was the
French everything.
He had to be. He was the French Jimi Hendrix for a while because he was the only French guy doing it. So, but yeah, they would do songs as often to film stars and things like "Don't we love this person?" It's kind of like American Pie was a little bit of a historical hat tip to so many different characters, but mostly Buddy Holly.
That was a song that was on my list for a little while, and then I was like, this is kind of just about nostalgia.
They kind of
just
name check him in the chorus. It's not actually about him.
Though reading about it, I guess the day the music died didn't come into existence until after he sung.
Right.
Like that
term?
That term didn't arise until Don Headley started.
The song. Buddy Holly had a song called "That'll Be the Day That I Die."
Don McLean.
Don McLean. Thank you. Who did I say?
You said Don Henley from the Eagles.
Okay. Whatever.
That would have been weird.
I think he's riffing on "That'll Be the Day When I Die" in Miss American Pie. So this will be the day that I die.
I guess so. Yeah. No, you're probably entirely right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've eaten our tail already. So why don't we go into the topic? And Michael chose it. Richard starts.
Are you guys done?
Boop. That completes the intro of the Mount Rushmore podcast, beginning competition now.
Okay. So my first choice and you guys, anyone who listens to the podcast knows about my love for the Replacements.
Oh, yeah.
And my love for Big Star.
Yes.
So it'd be kind of hard for me. It'd be remiss if I didn't do Alex Chilton by the Replacements. An incredible song, probably one of my top 5 Replacement songs of all time. Was interesting was reading the biography Trouble Boys by Bob Muir, which if you're into the Replacements, I would highly recommend picking up and checking out. And they talk about the kind of writing and creation of this song, and partially at least, yes, Paul Westerberg was a big Star fan, and he wanted to do something sort of as a tribute to Alex Chilton, but at the same time, it was also a very kind of shrewd sort of attempt to try and write a popular song, because at that time in college rock and kind of going into indie rock, there were songs that had been successful that had referenced sort of other musicians who had come before. Yeah. So Westerberg kind of this is when there was a little bit of a Big Star resurgence happening. So he thought, well, I want to go ahead and kind of, and they had a relationship before that. I think Alex Chilton had played on at least one song on Tim. Oh, okay. So they had something of a relationship. So it wasn't like a complete, like, let me just pick a random guy out of a hat, but it was done at least slightly cynically.
Was it in New Orleans or somewhere? You could go get Alex Chilton to produce your record just by going knocking on the door.
Yeah, basically. He was a producer for hire in New Orleans. I think that's where he was living.
And it just meant he turned on the gear and kind of slept there.
Kind of slept through most of it, yeah. So it's my favorite little bit of any song. You know, certain songs have like these little things happening in the background that you just love. And at some point in the song, Westerberg sings about, you know, if he died in Memphis, that'd be cool. Yeah. And you hear someone immediately go, hey. And I'm not 100% sure, but I'm like 90% sure that's Alex Chilton saying that, which is fantastic. Yeah. and Paul Westerberg actually wrote the obituary for, I think, in the New York Times for Alex Chilton, and basically talked about how he wanted to die in New Orleans and not Memphis. Yeah. So I was a little bit off on that. Yeah. But it's a really great obituary if you guys want to read it. But, you know, I think this is an example of an artist trying to pay tribute to, and even with the slightly cynical nature of it, trying to get awareness for an artist who influenced him, who may not have been as successful as they should have been. And I think that's a pretty popular genre of artists singing about other artists.
Hey, look what I know of.
Yeah, there's an element of that, and I think it's a little bit of you know, you guys should check this out too. If you think I'm cool, check this guy out.
Have you ever seen the Tammy show?
Tammy TNT show?
Yeah, it's almost the hosts are Jan and Dean, and they bring out Chuck Berry at the beginning of the show. Chuck Berry kind of bookends the show, or some of his music does, and people unabashedly say, this is the guy who invented all of this stuff that we've been ripping off. So almost each artist, there's one scene where I think it's Jerry and the Pacemakers or somebody are doing a back and forth on Maybelline or something like that. Yeah. But it was a moment where some of rock's most successful, more whitewashed, more Caucasian groups are actually on stage saying, see this guy standing here. He invented all this stuff.
Which is amazing that he was a nostalgia act, and it was probably 10 years after Maybelline.
Yeah. I'm amazed at how quickly youth culture transforms. Every 6 months there's an entire new thing that we call youth, and there's an entire new youth culture even back then. So that I'm not surprised that people artists at the time didn't know how long this whole rock thing was going to even last. Right. And knowing that it was very fickle and would based on like the singles market. It wasn't even like albums, it was like singles. A hot single could be gone the next month and you would never hear that person again. So, but I think some of this could be motivated by how embarrassed an individual might be to be trading on something that was created by somebody else so blatantly.
I agree. I think that's embarrassed is probably a good way to put it. I think with Big Star and the Replacements, I think Westerberg saw a lot of themselves in the Replacements. It saw a lot of themselves in Big Star from the standpoint of Big Star was this band that was always this close away to having a big breakthrough.
Yeah.
And then the record label closes, or they can't get the distribution right, or
Yeah.
something fucks it up. Somebody leaves the band.
Uh-huh.
And that's very much how the replacements were. Always that half a step away from success and finding a way to sabotage themselves.
Yeah. Pulling defeat from the mouth of success.
They were really good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think not to harp on this too much, but the Dan Wilson also talks about discovering the big star and then going to see Alex Chilton and seeing that he'd gone from being this, obviously like The Letter, right? The
Right.
Vox Tops singer. So a guy who had tremendous success before he even had Kraft.
Yeah, when you
early
heard my
on.
voice going out
That
a
was
second
your-
ago, that was my Alex Chilton as
That
a
was your
teenager
yeah.
impersonation.
So here's a guy who had success before he even had the right to, and he sounded like an adult before he even had the years behind him, and then turned into this latter-day kind of troubadour. And I think that's when some of the guys like Paul Westerberg and Dan and Matt Wilson found him, was this guy doing this ridiculous song and dance act that had nothing to do with his the stuff that they were doing as big stars.
Sure.
Sorry. Okay. Boop. Now, Michael Whitfield, what's your first choice?
Sleater Kinney's song, I Want to Be Your Joey Ramone.
Oh, cool.
From the 96 album called The Doctor. This is a song that is about full-fledged rock and roll ambition and idealism, and I don't know if it's biographical by any means, but it is definitely, it has this feeling of, I'm in this thing and I want to be as big and iconic or as Joey Ramone was.
Yeah.
I want to be the person, Corin Tucker is singing, I want to be the person that has your poster on the wall. I want to be the person that you want to come backstage and fuck. I want to be the person, not even Joey Ramone too, but she name checks Thurston Moore too. But this song about, this is my Elvis. I want to be as big as this person as a rock star. And I think that it just speaks to this band or Corin Tucker's particular, idealism of what you want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be as big as Joey Ramone is. And I think that that's a concept and a thing that kind of echoes through a lot of rock songs. I mean, I don't know how many songs have been sung about being Elvis or being the Beatles or whoever, but for a generation, the Ramones were right up there.
Yeah.
If not more important than, or if not the most important of all punk bands, and certainly is Sleater Kinney is a punk band or a Riot Girl band or whatever you want to ding them as.
Considering the gender that they chose, do they say Wendy O. Williams or Lydia Lunch or Patti Smythe? Or
That's I don't know. Maybe it is a taking the reins back from as a all female band, taking the reins back from the men and being a. I don't want to be just a female rock star. I want to be a male rock star. And male rock stars are just traditionally or historically bigger than
the rock star is the guy you want to have sex with, and they don't want those barriers between them as female rock stars. That's cool. That's a cool choice. Manfredi.
All right, so my second choice, on a similar vein, but I think going in a very different direction, Cool Thing by Sonic Youth.
Okay.
A song written by Kim Gordon after a disastrous interview that she performed with had with LL Cool J for a Spin magazine article, which, by the way, so pictured the two of them sitting in a unused recording studio trying to find some sort of common ground.
Wow.
Apparently the interview started out okay. She tried to explain what hardcore punk was to LL Cool J and why it's sort of like the people who listen to hardcore also listen to rap a lot of the time because it's basically outside of the white mainstream. And he's like, oh, that's cool. And then they started talking about the role of women in rap, and things just went pretty sideways pretty fast after that. Yeah. So you can read it online, and if I remember, I will post a link to it on our social media. It's a train wreck of an interview. Yeah. And so she got done with it and decided this may have been a terrible interview, but it will make a fantastic song.
Nice.
So she winds up in the song, it's basically her addressing LL Cool J, and what are you going to do about the liberation of us women, type thing. And she references being on the radio and walking like a panther and things like that, which kind of are direct shots at or not shots, but direct references to LL Cool J. And I think it's just interesting. The diss track is something that I think you see a lot in rap.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just interesting to see a, alt punk rock noise band doing a diss track on a rap artist.
Mm-hmm.
I had that at some point. I was starting to make categories, and I started to write down diss track as something I wanted to highlight. And then I realized I just don't have the depth of knowledge to know what would be a Mount Rushmore track, what would be the pinnacle, what would be like the most recognizable, the most dissing. And it was just like, I'll move on to something else.
That's why I went for this, because as a white person, I could I could relate to this a little bit more. But I think it's just interesting. I mean, it's interesting that this wound up being maybe their most well-known song, and it really just kind of came from this germ of like a really shitty interview she had with LL Cool J.
My second choice is along the same. I wouldn't quite call it a diss track, but it is Tenacious D's song Dio. Which is a minute and a half of Tenacious D just telling Dio that he is old and he is done and get off the stage.
It's time to pass the torch.
This is Tenacious D have written a lot of really fun, wonderful songs, especially on like that first album that came out. The other ones were kind of fine. Rise of the Phoenix was fine, and they have a new one out that has a couple of silly things on there. But sometimes your first pass is your best pass, and you just can't quite relive that magic. And Dio is just, I think it's my favorite song on the album. It's a minute and a half long, and the lyrics are silly, and it gets all this great guitar stuff from KG in there, as well as playing into their own mythology and their own ego of who they think this band is.
Right. That they have the nerve to actually tell one of the greatest frontmen in heavy metal history. Beat it.
But I love that there is both this aspect of you're too old to rock, no more rocking for you, but we'll take care of you as well.
Yeah.
We'll take you to the old folks' home. We'll make sure everything is fine for you. Just give us the secret sauce, and then we'll mix it with ours and make a good goulash, baby. But I just love that it's in and out. It's done in a minute and a half, and you don't. And it just name checks like this guy it name checks a guy who is a great frontman and great songwriter by someone who is just thinks he is the next great songwriter and the next great frontman.
I wonder how Dio felt about that.
I have to think that they had hung out at some point, and Dio said Dio might have acknowledged ageism in music, and how he may have acknowledged that his kind of getting up there.
And he may have given the devil horns at some point.
Maybe at some point.
He invented that.
I just love the line, "No more rockin' for you."
No
like
more.
At some point, we've reached the point. You are done.
Yeah.
You have to get off this. And it's funny because there's almost a time where you want to say that to some people. Like, is Ozzy still being dragged on stage to sing Crazy Train, and he's 74 years old?
Yeah.
Right? The Rolling Stones just rolled through here. They were at
the Rose Bowl.
The
or
Rose
something
Bowl,
like that.
and I don't know. Maybe they were still great. Maybe you just thought that they were great. Retirement should be a thing.
Yeah.
No more rocking for you,
by
Rolling
that.
Stones.
I find that really fascinating, because I do wonder what is keeping that person alive. Is the music keeping them alive? I know Dick Dale performed until he died, and he basically said he couldn't stop because he didn't have the money for his medicines.
Or it's like, his dialysis or something like that. Yeah.
But I don't know if he's that's a common thread or not. But Dick Van Dyke appeared at the D23 Expo, and I don't know, is this something we should take away from an entertainer? This thing that gives them so much life? Is that what's keeping them going in their later years? And
I'm not saying grind them up into a paste and feed them to the younger.
Wait a minute. But I would also say this is one of the most cutthroat businesses there is. If there was no space for that person in the industry, they would be gone. But there has yet to be a new Rolling Stones.
Maybe there is just a moment when you pass into, like, I think of you just said D23, you pass into this legends status. You become a Disney legend.
You're now a nostalgia act.
Yeah, you just occupy this space for people that they want the same thing. They don't want new things. They don't want their artists to write new songs. They don't want a new Ozzy Osbourne song. They want to hear Crazy Train, and that's about it. They want to hear the it's like when a band, it's not quite the space where they're playing at the county fair, although I'm sure a lot of bands like this kind of move on from, you were playing rock shows, you were playing arenas, you're playing smaller venues, you're doing a spot in Vegas.
Yeah.
You're the house act in Vegas for a little bit. You're at the county fair.
Yeah.
You're playing every week down on the pier like Dick Dale.
Hold on a second. Check. Yep, you just described Cheap Trick's career. Nailed it.
And it's so interesting. And, like, I don't know, is Cheap Trick putting out new music, or are they just trading on
both
stuff from 1976?
Rick Nielsen sells his guitars every city. I think when they go play somewhere, he has a guitar sale everywhere.
Right.
Hey, take them off my hands. What that seems like we're discussing is some of the subject matter, the homage subject matter that is what happens not in the Kim Deal Sonic Youth song. Kim Gordon Sonic Youth song, but when we are talking about other musicians, often we're lauding our heroes and the fact that their past glory may be behind them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Your past glory is not behind you.
Look at this guy.
You can attain celebrity, lord, lady status, goddess status by going to iTunes.
This halftime rolled in here, hands-free. He was leaning forward. The segue was so beautiful. He was doing a tour of Chicago now.
Yeah. By going to our Mount Rushmore site on iTunes and downloading, rating, and reviewing past episodes. You do us a real solid by giving us a 5-star. But also letting us know what you think about the episodes. You could also get in a dialogue with us by going to Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram and suggesting a future topic. Other individuals who have done so have actually participated in this podcast. You don't have to, but it's happened. You could also let us know what you think about examples of topics that we've done in past episodes. We'd really love to hear any of that and all of that. And you can help us out by introducing a friend to this podcast. Just repost the latest episode posting on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter on your site, page, wall, what have you, and let people know about the glory that is the Mount Rushmore podcast. Do a tribute.
When you go, very good. When you're in the office Monday morning, or when you're listening to this Friday morning, and someone's saying, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend?" I'm going to listen to Mount Rushmore podcast. What's that?
What's that?
Well, give me that bagel. Get out of my face. It's a great podcast. See you later.
Or when you're in a meeting, an important meeting where you should be listening and taking notes, have your headphones in and talk really loud, like you can't really like your person who has headphones in.
Do you know, I have an idea.
What?
Get like a portable Bluetooth speaker and just set it up. Go into the meeting room. It's the office.
Yeah.
A little early. Set up the Bluetooth speaker in the corner, and just accidentally play it in the middle of the meeting.
Yeah.
And then people are like, what is that?
This nonsense?
What's going on?
Yeah.
And then you go like, oh, I know what that is. That's a Mount Rushmore podcast. And they're like,
it's pretty good podcast.
We're talking about third quarter projections right now, and be like, hello, Mount Rushmore podcast. Everybody should listen to it.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Projections are good.
You know what? Instant raise.
Send us your Instagrams of you doing this at a meeting.
Yeah.
And we will share it.
We will share it. Okay, it is now the third choice from Richard.
All right. I'm going to do this one in German
Oh.
because the German version is always better than the English version. Meine Nachwahl ist Rock Me Amadeus.
Oh, wow.
From the 1985 album Falco 3.
Oh, my
Also
God.
on my list.
Oh, my
Is it?
God.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
This is unlike the Kim Gordon LL Cool J beef. There is no
Yeah.
beef here
No beef.
with a Falco. This is pure 100% admiration and love for the man.
This is the note that I have written down. To quote my favorite line from one of my favorite British TV comedies, The Mighty Boosh, elements of the past and elements of the future combining together to make something not quite as good as either. This song is so silly, but it never quite gets to the point where it's in that songs that I never have to hear again, mostly because it's in German.
Right.
Yeah.
If you have you read the English translation of it?
It talks about how
He was a punk, but
he was a punk, and he had all the ladies on his arms.
and that's why he was broke all the time. Basically living that rock and roll lifestyle.
Superstar.
And it's based off of the movie Amadeus, by the way.
It is.
That was the inspiration, was the movie Amadeus with Tom Hulce and F. Murray Abraham, not any sort of knowledge that Falco had of Amadeus'
And
life.
was he not Viennese? I thought Falco was German. He's German.
I
don't
think
know if
he is, yeah.
Viennese. Okay.
But it's such a catchy song, and it's such a dumb song. And the video is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
With these guys in like motorcycle outfits coming in
Yeah.
and like carrying Falco off. It's so stupid.
I just the way he says, "Come rock me up a day."
Yeah. Because that's the only part you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's all, I should bite the rock Amadeus.
Yeah.
By no superstar.
Austrian. He's Austrian. Sorry. Okay.
Okay.
It's that moment. It's that moment when you don't quite have the term in your native language. You're sitting there, and it's like being at work and hearing a few people speak in like Portuguese. There's a couple Portuguese ladies at work, and then you hear the just refrigerator,
Right.
just right in the middle, and it just jumps out.
I used to watch soccer, and every once in a while, every once in a while, you'd have to watch like an auto race. They'd only have it on the Spanish channel, and you're Al Unser Jr. And it was always like just stuck out. I do appreciate that the Germans have a word for laughing at the failures of others, but not for superstar.
Yeah.
That's how much more German can you get?
That I do think there was a lot of audacity in that song, because not that Amadeus hadn't already been a popular film in
Right.
which it was positioning Mozart as a celebrity that we could make comparisons to.
It was Mozart Mania.
Mozart Mania.
Not quite Listomania, but
Yeah. No,
the
that was,
ballpark.
yeah.
I have that down here too.
do you?
Listomania?
I
Wow.
almost talked about Phoenix's entire
Oh.
album, 1901, or no, Listomania.
Right.
I think of that Roger Daltrey film or something.
Yeah, there was a what's his name? The guy who did
Ken
Tommy.
Russell?
Ken Russell. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But then to
It's awful. By the way.
also
Don't watch
rap.
it.
Doesn't Falco kind of rap in the song?
The
or
whole
his-
thing's kinda
it's
rap.
his idea of rap.
The whole thing's kind of rap. Yeah.
So in a way, like, only a nut from another country could go in and do something like that and pull it off with such audacity. So that's off to you.
I do like that it becomes it's just like this little mini Wikipedia article
Yeah.
on Amadeus that you can just you get through it in like 3.5 minutes. You're just like, okay, what do I need? 5 minutes long. What do I need to know about
Yeah.
Amadeus? Let's put on the song.
And in 1784, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart becomes a Freemason. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? He joined the Shriners. Who cares? That's hilarious. Wow, cool. I think I did a book report in college German class on this. It was a fledgling attempt to pass the class. Winfield.
My last choice is LCD Sound System's song "Daft Punk is Playing at My House" from their 2002 self-titled album, and this is a song where the lead.
Wait, so Listomania is your third?
No. That I was.
Okay.
No, I was just talking about
Okay.
how that was.
Okay.
I had that written down.
He was
in
trying to
my
get bonus
notes.
points.
Okay,
The
I'm
Richard
a-
Manfredi bonus
Oh,
points.
so we were just confirming. You picked Falco, Rocky Amadeus
Yes,
too. Okay,
yes.
Sorry, LCD Sound System.
James Murphy has this supposed imagining song of this kid that saves up all his money to book techno electronic band, Daft Punk, to come
Oh, wow.
play his little house party. And it's all about how they're setting up for this band to come over, and they're moving all of the chairs and sofas and things to the garage, and they're getting their friend Sarah, they're getting her girlfriend to come work the door to take tickets, and they're getting all the beer in place for this band that nobody knows who they are.
Oh wow.
But it's just it is the song that kind of put LCD sound system on the map as a very interesting band, and but I think it's basically built on the name checking of another band. I mean, for this to be their first single and their first big hit, and it to have the name of another very popular, techno band, electronic band in their title, I think is a little ballsy.
Yeah.
But I like that it speaks to ultimately the kind of ending or the punchline of it is that nobody knows who this band is.
Right.
That they're coming to play this guy that he thinks is the most interesting, influential, or important band that he's having over for a house party, and like people there are like, I don't know who this is. But I think that also speaks to kind of James Murphy, the lead singer's. He has a song. Is it called "I Was There"? I gotta think of the name of it. Where he sits there and he's name checking all these different bands and all these different, like I was there for this, I was there for this, I was there for CBGBs, I was there for this band. He's kind of running down. Sorry for the burp, right in the microphone. He's just running down the list of all these things that he was there for. That he was so cool and he was in that scene. And I was there before you. And I think, like, I'll find the name of the actual song itself.
Daft Punk is playing at my house. That's
the name of the
one
song.
you were doing. Okay.
Yeah. But I think that there is a music elitism about him,
Right.
that I think really speaks to the song having Daft Punk in their title.
Mm-hmm. Are we listening to the song?
No.
Oh, okay. All right, Manfredi.
All right. Jeff,
Yes, sir.
when I look into your eyes, when I look out into your face, you know what I see?
Elvis.
A little bit of Elvis.
Elvis is everywhere.
Elvis
man.
is everywhere. The classic song by the classic
I
duo,
was hoping.
the classic duo of Mojo Nixon,
Yeah.
and don't forget about Skid Roper.
Okay. Yeah.
Just an insane song about one man's quite possibly psychotic love
Yeah.
for Elvis Presley.
We know where he isn't too later on. He
Right.
tells us
And nobody loves boats.
boats.
Elvis needs boats. It's just every part of the song makes me crack up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the part where he claims that Michael J. Fox is the anti-Elvis. When he talks about Joan Rivers having just a little bit of Elvis,
Yeah.
but she's trying to get
Trying
out,
to get
man.
out.
She's trying to get out.
With Sting, he indicts Sting at some point too. So there's no Elvis in Sting or something.
No,
like that.
maybe that's like on a live version or something
okay.
like that.
All right.
But yeah, it's just there are so many songs. I mean, Elvis is so ripe for this sort of
Yeah.
song, and it's like you can't tell whether or not Mojo Nixon is serious about
Yeah.
this at all or not. Whether it's a true love of Elvis, or if he's making fun of people who are obsessed with Elvis,
Yeah.
or if he's actually one of those people who are obsessed with
Mm-hmm.
Elvis. You don't really know.
It almost speaks to the ubiquity of like the Beatles and Elvis, and I guess later on Michael Jackson. They almost became part of the fabric of popular music, not just as an artist,
Or just popular culture,
Yeah.
full
Yeah,
stop.
yeah.
I mean, not even just, transcending music,
Yeah.
let's call it that.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I remember the mid-'80s being a particularly... Did that seem like that was a time when Elvis made a comeback?
Yeah.
Like, at some point, like in the mid-'80s, everyone got interested in Elvis again?
Mm-hmm.
I think that there was definitely a tabloid aspect of Elvis still being alive.
As we've discussed.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe he. When did Elvis die? 77?
77 or
Something like that?
79.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe 4 or 5 years is when maybe he's still alive. Maybe that's when the mythology starts to travel around or whatever.
That's true.
Who built the pyramids?
Elvis.
Who built Stonehenge?
Elvis!
It's
It's just such a stupid song. I don't even know how to justify it other than to say that it's one of the dumbest, incredible songs
yeah.
I've ever heard.
It almost seems like he was his name Mojo Nixon means that he's kind of deconstructing pop culture a little bit
Right? Yeah.
there, but
I mean, it's right up there with Debbie Gibson is pregnant with my two-headed love child for my favorite.
Yeah.
That and then his cover of "Girlfriend in a Coma,"
mm-hmm.
which
Oh, he does.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
and it basically at the end the whole core the outro is him just screaming, "I'm Mojo Nixon, I'm the anti-Morrissey,"
That's funny.
which is pretty accurate, I think.
Yeah. It almost seems like I don't know what. Morrissey had a little bit of his kind of own rockabilly resurgence. I remember he came on SNL with a kind of a rockabilly look at some point.
Yeah, he always had that. Well, he always had the pompadour.
Yeah, the pompadour going on.
Yeah, after 1991 or so, one of the guys from the Polecats, I can't think of his name right now, kind of left the Polecats and started playing with Morrissey. And so, like, from like 1990, 91 on, you start seeing like his entire road band is all guys with like big pompadours and big sideburns.
Yeah.
I mean, Morrissey too has always been a guy with a big pompadour and big sideburns. But like, Alan White? No, I'll think about it.
Was it
Boz Borer was like the lead guitarist. He might have been the singer. I think he was the lead guitarist for the Polecats. You might know the song "Make a Circuit with Me," and he's been like Morrissey's lead guitarist,
like the music guy. He's
music
the
guy ever since.
Well,
for like
Johnny had that twang.
25, 30
there's a lot of twang in the Johnny Marr. I guess that's reverb or something like that.
a lot of jangling.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of jangle going on.
There was an interview with Lee Rocker from Stray Cats who was talking about the Stray Cats being able to blend in with certain groups that others couldn't. Like in the metal guys and the punk guys all still like the Stray Cats. Like they would hang out with Van Halen, then they'd go hang out with Social Distortion, then they would hang out with when PIL came around, so they had this cred because they weren't in anybody's turf really, because they were kind of a nostalgia.
They're like universalists.
Yeah.
Everyone's down with them.
Yeah.
Oh, you know them? Cool.
When you show up in the rusty 57 Chevy, even the guy with the Porsche knows that you're not his competition or anything like that. So they didn't have any really haters. So I could see why Elvis had this kind of, that rockabilly. Yeah, the rockabilly part of that thing.
Just to wrap up something, just to close a loop here.
Yeah.
I believe you're thinking about not Sting, but Billy Idol.
Billy Idol.
And his fool lip.
Okay. Yeah,
Not that kind of fool lip.
That's right. He says, whatever, get your lip too. Not that fool Billy Idol lip either. Oh, that's hilarious. He says, peoples, everybody. Everybody got to sing. All right, so that wraps it up. Am I right? All right. When I'm right, I'm right. This has been the Mount Rushmore of... The winning choice was Buddy Holly by Weezer. No, it wasn't. That was the obvious choice, right? Okay. We won't say that. So let's go and pick some things. Why don't we pick, since it was the through line of absolutely every episode of the Mount Rushmore is the Replacements. There is...
Well, that, and we're still the Paul Simon podcast of record.
That's right. We are.
Paulcast.
Oh, God. Knock on wood, none of the people we mentioned today who are still alive.
God, somebody's going to die.
Pass away. Oh, God.
Oh,
Oh, God.
God.
Oh, God. Oh, let it be Falco. Oh, he's dead already. Okay, good. Okay, so let's go with the Matts and Alex Chilton. And then let's go with Sleater, Kinney. I want to be your Joey Ramone because that's pretty kick-ass. And we're woke bros if we choose that. We're totes woke bros. Let's go with Falco, Rock Me Amadeus. So that's one for each of you, right? Okay,
3 points for each of us.
Okay, and we got to go with Elvis is Everywhere. Mojo Nixon. Is that it?
That's it.
This has been.
That's a wrap.
Guys, this has been Hey, isn't WTF by Mark Maron a great podcast? What about my favorite murder? How about Joe Rogan? And what about Adam Carolla?
The entire suite of podcasts on NPR.
NPR.
That doesn't quite count like podcast because it's on the radio and you're just putting it out in a podcast format, but whatever, we'll take
That's
it.
right. Gimlet Media. Come on, man, Freddie.
I'm not.
You're not falling for a tribute to podcasts.
Not
Okay.
Cereal.
No, cereal. Okay, this has been the Mount Rushmore podcast. I'm always Jeff.
I'm Richard.
I'm Michael.
Yay.